We last talked with Mike Briggs at the end of June. That was a week before the USDA's planted acreage report and a time when rains could have pushed corn and soybean markets lower. Now here we are in the second week of August as the corn crop may be beyond help and livestock producers are in as tough of a spot as anyone. We talked again with Mike on Wednesday morning. There's a big report coming on Friday with the WASDE, and we'll see what production estimates are. What's best case scenario for that for you?
Best case scenario for that for me is a yield above 130. Not that that gives us an ocean of corn, but that gets us out of that complete disaster area that's under that 120 deal. That really frightens me, especially if we go dramatically. If they come out with a number dramatically under 120, like 112 or 114, then we've got serious issues.
I told you it's good to see you without bruises today. What level, do you think there's a level where corn hits and says, I can't go any higher?
I don't see why, you're doing a lot of demand destruction right here. I don't know why it needs to go. The number you keep hearing bantied around is 850, 865. I don't know why it needs to go above that, because you're gonna crush a lot of things at that point. This silliness that you're gonna have a 10 for that front number, I don't think so, because people will just quit using it.
And it's not necessarily new. We heard that, X number of months ago as well. Are you concerned about 2013?
I think 2013 could be really interesting, and the people that need to be concerned about 2013 are the farmers, because you're going to have acres next year from here to Christmas. And typically, you don't follow up drought years with another drought year. So if you have big acres and you have normal weather, we're going to have the biggest corn crop this country's ever seen. We don't have the infrastructure to handle it. You'll have corn piled everywhere, and all of a sudden you'll have $4 corn.
Yeah, let's get into the cattle market. Hasn't been much fun since we last talked to you. Is it going to turn around?
I think we bottomed this market 2 weeks ago. We definitely bottomed it in the feeders, depending a little bit upon Friday's report. If you come out with a 130 plus yield, I think the feeders could quite frankly take off and put $5 to $10 on very quickly. The live cattle, that's a really interesting situation. I'm pretty sure you've bottomed it. We're going to go into some tight supplies. How high can we go? How high can you go before people quit eating it? I don't know. I think it's going to be a real shock to people, because back when you had $2 and $3 a pound hamburger, I think your hamburger is going to cost you $6. And what are people going to do to that? But it's going to have to get that high. If you're going to have $8 corn with $1.25 cost of gains, you're going to have $1.40, $1.50 fat cattle. And that's going to make meat prices get dramatically higher from here.
Well, let's talk about supply. That'll factor in as well. There are a lot of producers that are culling right now, and you factor that into what happened in Texas last year. At what point does it become there is no supply?
That's a great question. We're getting there. Because of what Mother Nature's done, it hasn't allowed us to go ahead and expand. And you can't have pasture conditions like this and expect anybody to expand. And so it's, for the foreseeable future, you're going to have 3 or 4 years of normal weather across the country to where people can rebuild, and it just takes time. It's a 3-year program if they started today, so you got to have several years out.
Major supply issues then?
Yeah, major supply issues of cattle.
What are you seeing on weights here? It's been so hot. Has that affected it?
We run sprinklers here, so we've done well there. Yeah, it's affected consumption, so obviously it's going to affect weights, but for the most part it hasn't been terrible. The cattle have acclimated very well to it compared to where they were that first part of July when it started to get hot. That really knocked them down. We're kind of getting through this okay. The thing you're going to see, people are going to be really conscious of their weights going out because of the cost of gains. You can't sit there and wait to put that last pound on, because that last pound is just going to cost you too much. So you're going to see weights, not only supply of cattle go down, but you're probably going to see weights of cattle go down, which lessens your beef supply even more dramatically.
Cattle on feed next Friday, what do you expect to see? Too soon to tell?
I think it's a little soon to tell. I think your placements will be down a little bit, and I think you're going to start seeing that cattle on feed number start dropping precipitously under 100 at some point here. I think supplies in October and November are going to be really hard to come by.
What are the concerns that you're hearing from producers? I mean, what's the general concern that they see going forward for the next month? Is there one? What's the worst case scenario, best case scenario?
Well, right now it's really hard to place cattle because you don't know what your feed costs are going to be. You've got ethanol plants closing down all over the place, so you don't have byproduct to feed. Where is your corn going to get priced? Last week I talked to them. The ethanol plant in Columbus, if you had a substantial amount of corn to sell them, they're at 50 over. How do you know where to price your feed? So it's pretty hard to know how to price your feeders. That's the problem that bothers me. Yeah, do I think the cattle market's going to go up? Yeah, but do I think it's going to go up at a pace that's going to outdo what the corn market does to you? I don't know.
You mentioned before we started a Chinese crop that could be very big.
Yes.
You're buying in. They saw you coming from a mile away.
I hope that that's true. I hope that the wheat crop in Europe isn't as bad, because wheat is a little bit of a substitute for corn, and that'll eventually take some pressure off us. I think if we have a plus 130 yield out there, I think this corn market will level out down towards 7. Not that 7's great, but a lot better than where we are now. And you might be surprised, but then again, like I said, if you come out with a 112 yield, then all hell breaks loose at that point.